Good morning, you beautiful bunch of fuckers, and welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It's Wednesday, March 18th. It's time for some Destination Health. Grab some NDK coffee and pull up a chair. Phone lines are open. Jump in and join us, 855-950-3835. We got to pay some bills around here. I've got some things I want to talk about, then we'll get to your calls, so line them up. We are doing some warehouse optimizing, cleaning out. We have new product lines coming in, and that's a good deal for you. We've got some sales, but they're about to end, so you should head on over to letstruck.com right now. Right under the banner when you log in there at letstruck.com, you'll see the warehouse sale. That one is ending on March 20th, or for as long as those supplies last. There's a lot of stuff on sale, so head on over there and check it out. Grab some before it's too late. And today is the last day to take advantage of the Primal Life Dental Detox Kit. We have a special going on. It's not the last day to take advantage of the kit. It's just the last day to get the special. This is a complete oral detox kit. Mineral tooth powders, gumdrops, serums, charcoal floss, charcoal toothbrush. We have the non-toxic deodorant there as well. And if you're in the chat room, you can see it. You're going to get this beautiful container for your mineral tooth powders. I'm pretty sure that this was hand carved by pygmies in the rainforest. Don't hold me to that one, but I heard that that was true. Those are normally $56, by the way. We're giving one away with the Dental Detox Kit. Head on over there right now. And then when you get back, pick up the phone and call me. letstruck.com, 855-950-3835. All right. I've got some stuff going on here. Couple things going on with the war. We've heard a lot about fuel and fuel prices. That's the obvious. There's some fertilizer concerns, and people are wondering why there's a fertilizer concern if we don't use petroleum for fertilizer. The big issue, from what I understand, is nitrogen. Nitrogen is used in chemical farming. What is it? NPK, the big three. Nitrogen being the big one. But there's an interesting situation happening right now with this. Most of our conventional farming in this country, I mean, a big part of it, all you have to do is drive through the Midwest, and you see corn and soybean. Those are two huge ag products. I didn't know this until I kind of knew this, but I didn't understand how this worked in, giant chemical farming. So nitrogen is important in growing plants. Nitrogen is what makes the plant grow. You can't just dump a bunch of nitrogen on something, though. It will grow like crazy, but it can also make it very weak. It doesn't produce much. It's susceptible to pests. And then we have to use all the other chemicals. There are ways to increase nitrogen in the soil. There are some crops that fix their own nitrogen. That's kind of the issue. I thought this was really interesting. According to the article I read, and if somebody is more familiar with big chemical farming than I am, call me and correct me if this article was wrong. Right now, I guess there are a lot of big farms that decide what they're growing between corn and soybean. Corn absolutely needs a lot of nitrogen to grow. Soybeans do not. Soybeans and a lot of legumes fix their own nitrogen from the atmosphere. And we grow in my cover crop. If I'm not planting something at the time, I try to keep a cover crop in the garden. And I use a lot of legumes because they fix nitrogen into the soil naturally. We don't have to put on chemicals. So it's interesting that it looks like there may be a big shift towards soybean production this year. Once you plant, you plant. I mean, that's it for the whole year. This is a big decision. But they went through some numbers on corn. It was horrible. 43% of our corn production gets turned into ethanol, and that's mandated. And it has to happen no matter what the price of the corn is. The price of corn is going to go way up if you have to figure out how you're going to get nitrogen. So that's going to have a big impact on all kinds of things. This is part of our problem. We have developed systems that are just not good for us. They were just very profitable. This idea that we heavily subsidize corn to the point that it's so cheap that we use it to make all this other stuff, and now we can't. Where it's very possible that a lot of those prices are going to go through the roof, or there's going to be a shortage of corn. Not that it matters for food, not for me anyway. If corn is a huge part of your dietary intake, you've got other problems. One of the other things I've been talking about a lot is all the new things we're learning about health. And it really does come down to AI. AI is allowing us to do a lot of this. I think a week or two ago, Sarah called and informed us of a new issue around thyroid conditions, and it had to do with lymphatic drainage. First time I've ever heard that, never seen it anywhere else. That's new. Now it turns out, and this is thyroid again. And thyroid is interesting. If long-time listeners remember, there was a time I wouldn't even attempt thyroid cases. I didn't understand it enough to work with people that had real thyroid issues. Well, I've learned, and I've gotten much, much better. I've had a lot of success with thyroid cases now in coaching. Now there's a whole new issue, and it's why no matter what we try to do sometimes with thyroid, it just doesn't respond. It doesn't respond well to diet and supplementation. Then we could move on to synthetic hormones. Those don't seem to work very well. Part of it is the lymphatic drainage. We have another issue, though, something called autoimmune gastritis or thyrogastric syndrome. Recent estimates suggest that maybe as many as 30 to 40% of people with Hashimoto's are also dealing with this condition. The problem with it is once this condition starts, autoimmune, it means our own immune system is attacking our digestive system. The problem is it creates major nutrient deficiencies. And remember, we can't heal anything without nutrients. This is why digestion is so important, but this is a new condition. I wasn't aware of this. I don't believe anybody was. This is new research showing this. So it creates very low stomach acid, and that creates two big problems. Without good stomach acid, you can't digest nutrients, and without good stomach acid, you are wide open to more parasites and other type of bacterial and fungal infections. So it looks like we're back to digestion as the first step in thyroid conditions. The good news is we're learning a lot. We'll be able to help more people. The bad news is it is a flood of information, and I'm having trouble keeping up with it. Coaching is very, very busy. We had to extend coaching out to 2 days this week, and then we will probably do some coaching on Monday because I'll miss next week and I don't want to get too backed up. So a lot of stuff going on there. What else we got? some controversy in protein bars this week. I'll talk a little bit about that, and then I see the calls are coming in. So I will start getting to those calls here in a minute. So the first protein bar, and I pointed this out, a month or so ago, there was a huge marketing campaign for this company called the David Bar. I forget what the guy that started some other company, and I can't remember what it was, but he made $1 gazillion. And then he created this David Bar. And it's supposed to be a premium protein bar, and they're marketing all over, even television. So it's a huge marketing budget. I expected to see a really premium protein bar. This thing is absolute garbage. All they were really trying to do is get a certain amount of protein per calorie. Well, first off, calories just don't matter. And protein has been so overhyped. But this is how you make a lot of money, even in the natural health world, I guess, because it's a supplement, it's considered natural. There was nothing natural about this bar at all. Total garbage. I talked about it about a month ago. Now they're being sued because they have shown that their label is wildly inaccurate when it comes to the amount of fat and calories in the bar. Now, here's the interesting part. I could care less about the fat and calories. That's not the issue, although the type of fat that's in there, why they have a problem, matters. But if all it was somebody saying, oh, there's too much fat and calories in the bar, I could care less. First off, I'm not eating protein bars. I'm not eating any protein supplements. But here's what this is all about. They have a fake engineered fat in the David Bar. This has been tried before a couple of decades ago. One of the big food companies came out with this fake fat that helps with like taste and mouthfeel and texture, because that's what fat does. Real good fat makes food taste better, gives it a better mouthfeel. This was fake, but it kind of did the same things, except these fake fats, they engineered them so that your body can't digest them. So the idea was you get all the benefits of the fat, taste and mouthfeel, but you don't get the fat. Well, we want the fat, but there's a bigger problem. These fake fats, when you can't digest them, they have some very interesting side effects. Anal leakage. That's the term. Anal leakage. I don't need to know anything else. That's enough. Excessive gas with discharge, aka sharding. Yeah, these things are awful, but that's why their label was wrong. What they did was they calculated fat and calories that the human body could absorb, not the fat and calories that were in the bar. There's a lot of fat and calories in there, but if your body can't access it, they decided to leave it off the label. I kind of get that. The problem is that fake fat shouldn't even exist. Then we have Paul Saladino, who I followed for years, but he's done some goofy stuff over the years. Yeah, and this one is kind of a no-go for me. He just launched a premium protein bar. And I will say this, it is far, far better than the David Bar when it comes to ingredients. The thing is, I don't think you should waste your money on protein supplements. We don't sell a single protein supplement in our store. We sell some collagen and some other things that are high in protein, but we don't market it as a protein supplement. It's specifically to get the collagen itself. Nobody should be supplementing protein. You know, this is the gym bro thing. They're all willing to take steroids and peptides and supplement all kinds of crazy protein. If you were a competitive bodybuilder, maybe I could see. But if you're just a gym rat, don't wreck your health over this. So stay away from protein supplements. They are really not necessary at all. All right. We are going to get to some phone calls. Phone lines are open, so jump in and join it. Oh, looks like you are. Phone lines are starting to light up. We've got a little over 2.5 hours left today, so plenty of time. I want to get to as many questions as I can. So let's get started today in Indiana. Mark and Mary, welcome.
Hello. Right now it's just Mark. Mary's awake and getting her mind together.
Got it. All right.
We'll get her on as soon as you finish with me, and mine should be pretty simple.
Okay. What are we looking at today?
Well, I'd like you to go over my NutriQ and my blood test.
All right. Give me just a couple minutes here.
And I have one question I could ask while you're looking at that.
So hold on. Did you say NutriQ and blood work?
Yeah.
Chelsea, could you get me the NutriQ? I only see the blood work. Yeah, give me a minute to get the NutriQ
okay.
in.
I've given her a heads up on that.
Yeah. So what? Let's talk about what we need to talk about while I'm waiting on that. What are we looking for here?
Okay. Well, one question I have is, it only happens maybe 2 or 3 times a year, so it's not a real big issue. But when we have a certain run, sometimes I'll go to, if we'll be going by a place that has beef ribs, and they're good, so I like them every once in a while. And it's late enough at night sometimes when we go by there that I will have already gone to bed and for an hour or two, and then I'll get up when Mary gets there and have a rib. But when I do that, that's the only time fat gives me a little bit of nausea.
It will, and here's why. And this is a practice we should really try hard to avoid. Not only you're doubling down on this. So what we should avoid is eating close to bedtime, especially the kind of food we should be eating, which is fatty meat and animal products. They're heavy in protein and fat, which are both difficult to digest. We need good digestive function to digest those. And the closer we get to bedtime when we eat something like that, the worse the outcome is going to be. Our blood sugar gets wonky all night long when you do that. HRV drops. I've tested this over and over and over. It's one of the worst things we can do is eat a heavy protein fat meal too close to bedtime. You've doubled down. You've already gone to sleep and then wake up and do it. And so when we go to sleep, for the most part, our body shuts down digestion. That you're not digesting actively while you are sleeping. Our body is in an entirely different mode, and you're waking it up and then dumping in a bunch of fat and protein. The answer to this one is just don't do that.
Okay.
There's nothing we
was just wanting to see if that was an indication.
No, it's not.
Fat digestion issues.
It's not. That's really the message here. Is I could create perfect digestion in you, and if you do this, you're going to keep getting the same result because your digestion's been turned off. The body's not ready to digest it. That's really the problem here. So we should just avoid eating that close to bedtime, and certainly don't wake up and do it. Save the rib for breakfast. If I had
There you
access to
go.
good ribs, I'd get them too, but don't wake up and eat them. Save it for breakfast.
Yep. Okay. The other question, you aren't going to have any results in that in the NutriQ, or well, you might in the NutriQ, but not in the blood test. Is a low level of testosterone harmful to my health?
Yes, it is. It's harmful to your long-term health, and it's also really affects everything in the short term. And this is a chronic problem today for both males and females. Low testosterone, much more important for males, though. We are becoming estrogen dominant. And it's our food supply, it's our toxic world. Microplastics are, they mimic estrogen in the body. So a lot of our toxins have created part of this problem, but so has all the soy in our diet. It's estrogenic. Excess sugar can drive this. So this is a downstream effect of everything in our lifestyle. There's not one thing we can point to. It's just everything about our food supply, our metabolic health, just suppresses testosterone and increases estrogen. And we see it. I mean, I could do a whole show on how this is changing our society. So getting testosterone levels back up not only make you feel much, much better in the short term, they do affect your long-term health in a very positive way.
Okay. I am currently on testosterone cypionate, but I haven't taken it for going on 6 weeks now, and been experimenting to see whether tiredness returns or anything, and it hasn't really. So
I have some,
I'm hoping that's a good sign.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I have some pretty strong opinions about messing with hormones by using exogenous
I know
hormones.
you do.
Yeah, because I have never seen a true success story. What I see is some people see short-term benefits and they see some improvement short-term. It's very, very difficult to manage hormones in our body. In fact, I think it's almost impossible for us to do it. And here's my other take on this. In functional medicine, we believe that you give the body the nutrients it needs and you remove the toxins, and the body will always heal itself. This flies in the face of that.
Right.
We're saying something is broken in the body because you're not producing enough of your own testosterone. Well, in functional medicine, we have to go find what's broken and fix it, not cover it up by giving exogenous hormones. That to me is not functional at all. And I know a lot of practitioners that call themselves functional and do a lot of hormone therapy. It's the same thing with the peptides. These peptides are all affecting hormones directly. That's how GLP-1 drugs work. And that's why they work so well, because they do affect the hormone. The problem is we have to do that naturally. The more you use exogenous hormones, the less hormone the body is going to produce on its own. If we flood the body with too many hormones at once, not only does the body slow down its own production, it also starts deleting the receptors. It says, look, there's too much of this hormone around, so we're going to delete receptors so the body can't absorb it, because it will cause problems. Our body is smarter than we are. So I think that all of these hormone therapies are a Band-Aid and they cause more problems. It's interesting that you were taking it, you stopped, which is exactly what I tell people to do. Experiment, so you know what's happening. And it sounds like you didn't see your energy levels drop off after you stopped.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So the goal here then is to get you to a place where you can make your own testosterone. And I do see I see a pretty big issue right here. First thing that I see on here, your omega-3 fats, EPA, DPA, DHA, those are the fats that your body will use to produce hormones. You are critically low on omega-3. So two choices here.
The good news is that it's up from the last 3 blood tests that I've had over the last 3 years.
Then
so it's improving slowly.
And that would be my guess as to why you were able to stop the hormone replacement and not see your energy levels plummet. And you're still critically low. I'm glad it's higher than it was, but you're nowhere near optimal. Optimal is about 5.5%. You're at 2.6, less than half.
Right.
Yeah, you're not even close. Your omega-6,
So
3
I
to
need to eat
6.
more sardines?
You absolutely need to eat more sardines. And that was going to be the option. You can either eat a bunch of sardines, which are cheap and really nutritious and really good for you, or I can sell you a very expensive omega-3 supplement that won't work as good.
Right. I've been eating about probably 3 to 4 cans a week.
Excellent.
As of late.
Excellent. Keep that up. We also have to start looking at where
that might be the reason it's improving.
It is improving, and that is why. that is direct causation. It's exactly what we would expect to happen, and that's a good thing. Now, that's an excellent amount of omega-3. 3 to 4 cans of sardines a week is excellent. Now, what we have to do on the other side of this, we have to limit your omega-6 intake, because your ratio is still pretty far out of whack. You're at 9.9, not horrible. Standard American diet could be like 25. We'd really like it to be in the 1 to 3 range. You're at almost 10. So omega-6 that's in all processed foods. It's all the seed oils we're talking about. So we just have to try to minimize those. And if you eat out, it's almost impossible. I have an app that's called Seed Oil Hunter, and it's shocking to me. Yeah, it is shocking to me how hard it is to find a restaurant that does not use seed oils. It's getting better because we're finally talking about it. But out of thousands of restaurants in Portland and Vancouver, there was one that had no seed oils anywhere on the premise. Let me look at a couple of your other markers here. Really,
because of the low omega-6, that was part of the reason I was asking about fat digestion, to make sure that wasn't the issue.
It's not. It really, that was just you were eating at the wrong time. That's all that was.
Okay.
Yeah, my guess is your fat digestion is probably pretty good. You are very deficient in B6. I would take a B6 supplement. Your highest priority on the NutriQ was male reproductive, not surprising at all, because we know that's really what we're dealing with, right? That B6 deficiency is contributing to that too. That's part of the downstream hormone signaling we see. And because of that, your next highest score is adrenal. When we're not making good hormones, it's just very stressful on the body. And then we pile that on top of the other stress of life these days. One of the I'm looking at, I'm glad you did, this was a good test, because I have fasting glucose, A1C, fasting insulin, HOMA-RI, which is probably one of our most important readings for metabolic health, and the triglyceride to HDL ratio that is excellent. Your triglyceride to HDL ratio is outstanding. Your fasting insulin and your HOMA IR are a little high, almost to the point where
It's still a little high. I was insulin resistant for years.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say.
Obviously, still am.
I think though that there's a difference here, because the way you would look at this is say, oh, you might be, heading down to pre-diabetes or insulin resistance, but knowing your history, it's the opposite. You were there and you're on your way down. It's not like you were normal and these numbers are on your way up. That would concern us. You were already insulin resistant. You're on your way down. Actually, optimal HOMA IR would be 1. You're at 1.58. I mean, like I said, if it were the opposite pattern, these all were climbing, then that would be concerning. But it's really not. Your A1C is 5.4. Fasting insulin is 7.7. So you are still insulin resistant, like you said, but it is getting better, and that's the whole point. I'm looking at a couple other things here. Yeah, total and free testosterone, very, very low. DHEA, very low, which is that's part of the problem. Without the DHEA, it's hard to build good testosterone. HSCRP was a little high.
And what is that?
That is a measure of cardiac inflammation, but it's not a direct marker. It's what we would call a proxy. So it's high. So is your homocysteine, which could be two things. One, we know you have a B6 deficiency. Two, you may have have you ever done a DNA test?
Yes.
Have you ever run what's called the raw data through a calculator? Did you use like Ancestry or one of those? 23andMe.
23andMe. Yeah.
23andMe has what's called a raw score. And, because 23andMe analyzes it and tells you a bunch of stuff. Now, you could go look on 23andMe and see if you have the SNP, is what they call it, potentially 2 of them. That means your body struggles to absorb B vitamins, but it's only because the B vitamins are the wrong form. If the B vitamin is coming from food, you would do just fine. If it's coming from the wrong B supplement, then it's just not doing you any good. We can tell that from the DNA test, because that is one of those things that's genetic. And it looks like it's possible you have that, or there's some other reason you're just really low on B6. But I would start there. And if that's here's the thing. The B supplements we sell in our store are what we refer to as the methylated form. That's the form that your body can absorb, no matter what your DNA is. People who don't have those SNPs can sometimes use cheaper B vitamins, and they do okay. We just skip all the junk and just say, let's just give everybody a methylated B vitamin. I would trying to figure out what this is leading us to, as far as what the most important thing we could do for your testosterone levels are. And it might be nothing other than to just keep doing what you're doing. Stay very strict with the diet, keep the omega-3 levels coming up. And if we just keep seeing slow improvement like you've been, that's a good thing. As long as we're seeing improvement, we like to just stick with what we're doing. So I don't see any big changes I would make. I would get a good B complex vitamin, and I would keep eating the seafood and just keep your diet as clean as possible.
Very good. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome. All right.
Are you ready for Mary?
I am.
Hey, she can be a challenge. But
well, I love challenges. Yeah.
He asked if you were ready for me. I said, oh, never.
Yes, I am. I am ready and waiting. Let me get
Okay.
some of your docs open here. And while I'm doing that, give me an update on diet, symptoms, how you've been feeling, and what we're hoping to improve. Now,
Well,
I
weight
only
loss is
have
probably a big one.
I only have a NutriQ for you, no blood work or anything else. Is that correct?
No, you have blood work too.
Oh, maybe I'm. Oh, I know.
Mark
Okay.
said he sent it to you.
Yep, he did. I think I have to go back up in the chat. I got a lot. Oh, there it is. Okay. And I'll add. There we go. Let me get that open.
I'm still working on gut healing. I have been diagnosed through testing from my doctor probably over a year now with SIBO. And he did prescribe, I took a natural remedy. It helped a little bit, but, and he did prescribe, I'm looking for it.
Yeah, what was the natural remedy? Let's start there.
This biocide and they're from Biotic.
Yeah, I was going to say Dysbiocide is a biotic product. He may have paired that with GI Detox, maybe, or FC Cytal.
Not GI, FC Cytal. Yeah.
FC Cytal. Okay, that's a pretty standard protocol, but it doesn't sound like it worked.
Well, no, it didn't at that time. And trying to find where I wrote the name of the just a
was it an antibiotic
prescription that he gave me? Yeah, it's specifically for SIBO, and it only works in the small intestine. And he had me order it from Canada because it's so expensive for the U.S.
So here's the problem. It may only work in the small intestine, and that's where SIBO is, but it wipes out lots of bacteria, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. Did you get relief?
I started taking it, but I'm not very good at remembering to take it as often as they want, so I was concerned that it wouldn't work. So I stopped taking it, and when we went back to him recently for our annual test and whatnot, I asked him, would it work even if I'm not real good at taking it, 3 times a day? And he said yes. So he suggested that I go ahead and try to take it.
Here's the problem we see, and this is standard protocol from standard medicine, because it gives symptom relief, and you might even get relief for a couple months. The odds of it coming back and coming back worse are high, because we're wiping out all kinds of bacteria, and unfortunately, when we do that, it's more likely that we're going to repopulate with bad bacteria again. And then it comes back. And so I'm not a big fan of the antibiotic approach. It works, you'll get symptom relief, but long term, it makes so many other things worse. What I would recommend is we have one specific product. Here's part of the problem with Dysbiocide and FC Cytal. They're not targeting the specific bacteria that tends to cause SIBO. There's a very specific group of bacteria that tends to cause SIBO, and those don't target it. The antibiotic does because it's so wide spectrum. That's why it works. We have a product called Atrantil, and it was developed by a traditional.
And I've been taking it for a long time, but I was wondering if I need to up my dose because I only take the 2 that's recommended.
Not only would I up the dose, I think in your case right now, I would finish whatever Atrantil you have, and then I would try Atrantil Pro.
Mm-hmm.
We have the next level of
Yeah,
Atrantil that, and if you're getting relief, then that's what I would continue doing. If we don't get relief or we don't get full relief, then what we have to, 2 things we could assume. One, you don't have SIBO, you have SIFO. It's not a bacterial infection, it's a fungal infection that can cause the same symptoms. So we'd have to, there's a couple ways we can do it. We can just guess and try a bacteria or a fungal protocol and see if it gets better, or we could go do a breath test and identify what bacteria is specifically there causing the problem.
Okay.
So that's what I would try, the Atrantil Pro first. It's easier to just try that and see if we're getting any results or not. Or the other thing, if it's not SIFO, then what we're dealing with is whatever bacteria you have formed bioshields, biofilms that protect that bacteria from being killed even by the most powerful antibiotic. The antibiotic cannot kill the bacteria if it can't get to it. And what we've specifically identified with drivers, and with you two being a team, this is even more critical. If you have biofilms, and you probably do, they're made out of heavy metal because of all the diesel exhaust and road dust drivers are subjected to all day long. And it's not only a biofilm, it becomes an armor-plated biofilm. And now we have to go in and use specific compounds to break up those biofilms. So it's going to be one of those 2 things. It's either going to be, it's not SIBO, it's SIFO, or it is SIBO and you've just got some armor-plated biofilms.
Okay. We do have the heavy metal testing that we're planning on having me do. We ordered 2, but for some reason they refunded 1 and didn't send it. So I have more health issues concerning diet and stuff, so I could probably do that one.
So tell me about your diet, because I'm looking, now I've got all the documents up and I'm looking at them, and we have some pretty major stuff going on. Yeah, I'm not quite as strict as Mark is. It's harder for me being the night driver. I tend to snack a little bit more, but the cereal that we use is Magic Food. We had the continuous glucose monitor, Cello, for a long time that we use. So let me just stop you there. And it does not disrupt our blood sugar. Well, let's stop there. This is more than blood sugar. For Mark, if we focus on blood sugar alone, Mark would probably be okay and we would start healing him. You've got a lot more going on. And what we need for you is maximum nutrition. So I would avoid foods like, just because they're low carb or grain free and they're not spiking your blood sugar, they also have about 0 nutrition. These are not nutrient dense foods. And I'm talking about stuff we even sell in our store, because if you're metabolically healthy, those foods are okay. But when you're not metabolically healthy, they're not okay. And I say that all the time. I tell people, no, don't buy monkey brittle in our store. There's really no nutrition in it. It's a wonderful little treat and a snack. And if you're metabolically healthy, you can do that. You're not. You have got to make sure everything that goes in your mouth is maximum nutrition. Now, according to your blood work, you have Hashimoto's. Has anybody ever told you that?
No.
Yeah, you have Hashimoto's.
No, I've heard of it, and okay.
Yeah, and now, this is a full thyroid panel, so I do have plenty of data to work with. But we've also learned a lot of other things about this. This was my open this morning. I talked about this. You could have a problem with lymphatic flow that would cause this. You could have the autoimmune gastritis. We know you have some pretty severe digestion issues. We were just talking about them. So those both could be contributing to this, but according to your thyroid panel, you are full-blown Hashimoto's. Your TSH is high. Both free T4 and T3 are both low. Reverse T3 is below range, and the antibodies. Now, if we had out of range numbers but no antibodies, you would have a thyroid issue, but it wouldn't be Hashimoto's. Your thyroid antibodies are 52 times above the limit.
Okay.
So that's...
I do take Thyrostim to help my thyroid.
Yeah, it's not working, and it almost never does. I mean, your TSH high, your free T4 and T3 are low, your reverse T3 is low. The thyroid hormones are not working, and they almost never do. This is kind of my point, that adding thyroid hormones is like adding testosterone. We're admitting something is broke. The body should be producing those hormones, and if it's not, we have to go figure out why not. And my guess is it's just your overall metabolic health. And well, let me get down to some other. Neither one of you have taken an MIP test, have you?
Not yet.
Okay. My guess is going to be, from what I've seen, you also your omega-3 levels are not as bad as Mark's. They're not optimal, but they're not nearly as bad as Mark's. You must either eat more of that, or you just have your body absorbs it really well.
Now, it probably absorbs it okay, but when I try to take a regular supplement or the oils, and I know it's probably fat digestion, it upsets my stomach. I cannot take certain supplements on an empty stomach, or they really bother it.
Yeah, well then don't take them on an empty stomach. But fish oil is not fish oil's not a good supplement anyway. Our algae oil would be, but you just don't take that on an empty stomach. Or we have to work on your fat digestion, one of the two. Your vitamin D is low. Are you supplementing vitamin D?
We do have it, and sometimes I remember to take it, and sometimes I don't. I try to put it into my Cardio Miracle when I make it, or when I have Mark make it for me.
Do you have coffee in the morning?
We do it between shifts a lot of times. I don't do coffee because it really tears up my stomach, and the only benefit I get from it is the diuretic effect. So it makes me need to go pee, and I have to stop more often.
Okay, so there's just another sign that you've got real digestive issues. Everything seems to upset your stomach. And that's a problem. So we've really got to work on digestion. You've got to get more omega or more D in. You're at 46. The doctor's never going to tell you that's low, but I'd like to see it, especially if we're dealing with an autoimmune like Hashimoto's. I'd like to see your level stay 80 to 100. You should be using 5 drops a day of the DK.
Okay. I was doing 4, so
yeah.
I'll up it.
Well, you were doing 4, but you weren't consistent. And it shows. You're too low. If you were doing 4, we wouldn't be at 46. So you were inconsistent, and you know that. So we've got to do that. You have got a lot going on. I mean, clearly we've got to work on digestion. We've got to clean up the diet. But for me to address all the rest of the stuff in here would really require coaching.
Yeah, we're signed up for it. We just
waiting for an opening.
With me being the night driver, it's kind of hard for me to call in. Yeah, I'm waiting for an opening. We when you guys donated it to Truckers Christmas Group for Christmas, we let it ride in the store for a little while, and when nobody got it, we went ahead and did it so that we'd have a little bit more to be able to help another family.
Okay. All right.
Do you think my digestive issues have anything to do with me being a highly sensitive person?
No.
I've been reading up about it.
No.
No.
Let me correct. At some point, being overly emotional or sensitive, or however we want to say it, would
sensitive. It's not just sensitive to emotions. It's sensitive to food. It's sensitive to smells, especially chemical ones.
Stop. That's because you are metabolically sick. That is not some genetic thing. It's not some personality thing. It's not because you're sensitive. It is because you are metabolically sick that your body is reacting to all of this. You are also not detoxing. Your detox pathways are completely shut down. So you are toxic, and now your body is going to react to all of that stuff more than normal. So that's all part of the metabolic health that we've got to fix. And those things will get better. We've got to work on digestion first, because that's how we get all the nutrients in to fix all the other things.
Yeah.
So you have to really, really focus on a strict low sugar, low carb, high nutrient diet. That's number one.
Okay.
And then after that, like I said,
the reason I mentioned the magic spoon
go ahead.
is because it's one of the things that I can eat late at night. I know it's not good for me to eat late at night, but like if my stomach's bothering me before bed, it, along with, I know it's not good, but almond milk will help my stomach calm down.
Mary, here's what we've got to do.
Along with
hold on.
drinking pickle juice.
Here's what we've got to do. You've got to stop with the excuses. Look, I can go to Portland.
Okay.
I can go to Portland and wander around in the streets, and I will find people in absolute agony rolling around on the sidewalk with fentanyl withdrawals. And if I give them fentanyl, they're going to feel like they're on top of the world. You're eating garbage cereal and almond milk in the middle of the night and saying, well, it makes my stomach feel better. But it's destroying your stomach and your metabolism at the same time, just like fentanyl destroys the fentanyl addict, but it makes them feel really good in the moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I know it feels good, but you know yourself, because you said it before every sentence. I know it's not good. That's where you should stop. It's not good.
Well,
even if it makes you feel
the almond
better.
Milk is not good.
Neither is the cereal. It's just grain-free. Okay. I tried to explain. It's okay if you are metabolically healthy for a treat, but you are so lacking in nutrients that we can't afford to have you eat anything that's not nutrient-dense. Okay. When you ate that cereal and that almond milk, not only is it doing damage, the almond milk is, the cereal is neutral, I guess, but what it did was that took up the nutrients you should have been eating in some nutrient-dense food. Eat a beef stick. And if your stomach doesn't feel good when you do that, that's because we have to fix the digestion. I would, if you're not taking one of the digestive kits, again, I can't target as well as I would in coaching, but I'm trying to give you some things you can do to help. If you're not taking... Go ahead.
I've been on the... I stopped taking the Beta Plus for a while, but I was thinking I probably need to add it back in. But I've been taking the...
do you have a gallbladder?
Yes.
Okay. Then you don't necessarily keep taking Beta Plus. We might do one round of Beta Plus, then we would switch to Beta TCP. I would also add Tudka.
Mm-hmm. Tudka?
Tudka. That'll help both fat digestion and detox. I would start there. Let's start there. You got to work on cleaning up the diet. And then when you call me each week and we'll keep working on digestion. Right now, I would do a fat digestion kit, or I would do a PPI kit. I would do some sort of digestive kit, and I would add TUDCA to whatever it was.
Yeah, well, I'm not completely awake, but I do take the betaine plus, and I don't remember the other one that goes with it, but the betaine plus, whatever. Do I need to start taking the IPS on an empty stomach again? I was taking 6. That was a while back.
Yes.
Is that still part of the protocol?
That's for gut healing, yes.
Okay. Now, you mentioned the coaching program. I have a thought, because, you don't have enough room and you're not sure whether you're going to keep doing it. Mark had the thought of training up Chelsea to do it, but I had a thought. Have you thought about a self-coaching program, setting up groups to discuss similar issues for the ones that aren't quite as bad, or have 1 or 2 spokespersons to discuss things with you and then get back to the group? There's some members have had NTP or NTC training. It'd be real good for that.
Chelsea is in training for that.
Okay.
One of the things that has happened in my coaching program is that almost and this makes sense, everybody who's actively in the program is really sick. They've got something really odd. They've got something out of the norm. And it's one of the reasons why I can only have so many people. I spend a ton of time researching and working on protocols. So the groups that we could have, or, maybe have some of the other trained people do, what ends up happening is I'll get some people in. I had one the other day. The guy was young. He was fairly metabolically healthy, but he was starting to see the symptoms. Well, we fixed him in like 2 weeks. It was 2 calls and he was done, and I kicked him out of the program because he didn't need me anymore. That's what other groups could work with, people like that. But that's not like you right now. There's no way I'm going to put you in a group of a couple people that have read some books and think that they're going to be able to work on your case. It's just not going to happen. I struggle with these cases. That's why I have to spend so much time on them, and it's why I don't have any more room in coaching. Because almost every case in coaching now is a really difficult case. So, yeah, and to answer the question in general, have we thought about all of those other things? We really have. I mean, I've thought about it, and I'm working on an AI coaching program where you would use our trained AI as your coach, and then we would be there to kind of back it up. But we got to finish the app, and there's a lot of work that goes into that, and it all comes down to time. Speaking of time, I'm going to cut you too loose because I got to get moving. You got plenty to do. Call me back next week, and we'll continue working on it. Let's go to, holy cow, everybody has tests to analyze today. Let's go to Iowa. John, welcome.
Yeah, morning, Kevin.
What's on your mind today?
MIP. I just wanted information and just kind of explanation of the CIT and the FIT test. FIT, I pretty much understand it. I just have a couple oddball questions about it that I don't understand.
Go ahead with
the CIT, I don't. With the FIT?
Yeah, go ahead with your questions, because I got to take some time to look at both of these, but go ahead.
With the FIT test, I did the Everlywell one also, probably 2 years ago when I talked to you about it. And this one's got, now the KBMO has wheat and grain on there, which I get it. I understand that. Don't need any explanation. I'm working on that.
Okay.
Not an issue. What I can't figure out is egg yolks and cashews and coffee, because egg yolks and egg whites were on the Everly well. And I hadn't, well, then I probably was just tapering off the eggs, or I think I quit right after I got those results. But I can't say I've had a known egg since either Thanksgiving or Christmas, because I kind of eliminated them, and the thought and the smell of eggs just kind of still turn my stomach to now.
Two things that could cause that. One, it's what we call a cross reference, that there, and we have a list of those somewhere. Chelsea, if you have time.
Hi, I'm Kevin Rutherford. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe, or leave a comment below. It really helps us get the show out to more people. If you'd like to get the show, the full show, ad-free, you can sign up with the link below.